Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this hot day, at least here in Brussels. We are back with a nice program for you today with the question I get asked most frequently. But first, Sebastian, how are you?
Hello, good morning. I mean, if you are hot in Brussels, I can tell you that today is literally they are putting us in the hot seat because I am in Malaga in south of Spain, and we are at the peak of the season, but of course very nice. Woke up, had some time. It's a slow day, no? Don't you think? So still we're slowly returning to work. Some parts of Europe, like probably not all of us, but I managed to do my yoga, my exercise in the morning. I feel very energetic and ready to share really cool stuff with you all.
You look it. I also wanted to say hi to Duran, to Louise, to Michael, and to Louise again. I think Louise is asking a question already. Um, Thank you for leaving comments even before we went live. I know we were maybe a minute late. So Louise is saying, I really appreciate searching ICPs, talking, engaging, asking for support, helping them. From which connection level does your business come from? Let's dive into those types of things because the subject we're going to be covering today is now that LinkedIn has changed, and only according to research from Richard van der Blom, only 10% of people who see your post are your actual first level connections and your followers. How do you make sure that you still get real life results from LinkedIn? How do you make sure that the people you want to be reaching actually see your content? That's what we're going to be covering in the first part of today's session. And the second part is going to be about Claude and potentially other LLMs leaving invisible marks in the content that you're creating with them. That's as a lot of has been spoken about today, right, Sebastian? So that will be covered by us today as well, and we'll try to do that quickly. And Lakshmi is saying hello from Berlin. Hello back to you. So let's get started. Sebastian, anything you want to say about this?
And I appreciate the challenge of the people who are trying to reach the professionals in the EU bubble or in smaller communities, because LinkedIn at the end of the day, it's meant for scale, right? It's meant for being a thought leader on a topic almost worldwide. I mean, I think they are trying to make more of that because that's how they get the scale, that's how they get the engagement. And so I think it's very timely that we talk about how we use this fantastic tool, but in a way that actually work for us and that help us reach this very niche. We're talking maybe about 200, 300,000 people, probably depending on whether you are targeting EU officials or you are targeting other communities. But it's a relatively small number of people who are in a very small geographical, let's say, space. And so let's see how we can use these tools to reach niche communities. I have my notes ready to learn from this. So take it away, Liora.
Yeah, and in the meantime, hello to Dustin, who is in France, and hi, Shazia, as well. I don't know where you are, but I am happy that you are with us. So let's bring the slides to the screen. And so, yes, what happened, and we spoke about this previously, is that can everyone see the slides, Sebastian? Because okay, all right, great. It's positioned a little bit differently than before. So what happened is that before there was a connection graph, so people show the content to people that chose to follow you or your first level connections, and then if they engage, it showed it to more people. Now it's trying to see who would find this subject interesting and then shows it to those people. Now that might sound nice in theory, but that could mean, in my case, for example, when I post about LinkedIn, that other communication experts or other LinkedIn experts see my content. but they don't need that content. They might find it interesting on occasion if I say something new, but they already know that they are trying to reach people that are trying to work on their positioning in their countries, and I am trying to reach those people in my country, right, or the country that I live in. So it's not really helpful if you see, instead of your clients, instead of your targets, you see people who post similar things. The first thing that this happened about, I think, maybe a year ago, I thought that people had copied me. It was so similar to what I had posted. I thought, okay, someone has seen my post and posted almost the same thing, but it turned out that LinkedIn had gone out of its way to find similar posts to mine and to say, okay, apparently you like this subject. Here are similar subjects. People posted those things maybe a week before me in Australia, and LinkedIn was very kind to find me those posts. So how do you solve this problem? Sebastian, the problem is that it's this small for me, the presentation, so I can't see what I'm presenting. Is there any way that we can change this?
If the people following us can confirm if there is an issue, because from my side, it's all.
Yeah, okay, well, then I'll just have to look at it in a different view because I can't see the presentation. That's the problem. And so it would be nice to see what I'm talking about. Okay, all right, I will do it a different way. So yeah, this is the in-network, out-of-network split. And then you might say, okay, I'm just going to try for this split to be all in-network. But that's not good either, because then you will just have a very low number of impressions. These are my impressions for the past 7 days, and you will see that it has 80% out of network, and that's good, because if what LinkedIn does before, it would show you to your own network, and if they would find it interesting, it would show it to a lot of people outside of the network. That's still in a way the case, but it goes much faster, and it's really important that it's shown to the group outside of your own in network, because that determines the reach of your post. But of course, and so also more of your own people then see your post. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the underlying principle is, if you want to make sure that specific people see your posts, a specific community, is very important that you teach LinkedIn whom exactly your content is for. And that might mean that your posts don't go as far as they could, but that more people that are actually important to you, journalists, your peers, your colleagues, your specific companies that you're applying for, if you're looking for a job, or potential clients, that they see your content. So that is making it very clear. And that also means that you need to optimize your profile completely, to make it completely clear. I see a lot of people that don't have their location on their profile. That is not good. That's not helpful. So you need to mention your community explicitly all over your profile and also in your posts. So not how let's say that I want to write a post about LinkedIn. It's not 10 ways to write better hooks. No, like 10 ways European associations can write better hooks to attract blah, blah, blah. So, make it very clear whom you're attached, use those words: Brussels, EU bubble, EU affairs, or European associations, etc. And that is how you explain both to actual people, but also to the algorithm, what professional community you belong to. And this is also why I post this Brussels bubble post from time to time, even though it's not about what I do, but it's about where I am, so that I get the right people to understand, okay, this person is also based in Brussels. And I've actually, just on a side note, posted this now 3 times. I first had a post 5 things I hate about Brussels. Then I had to post 9 things I love about Brussels as a carousel. That didn't perform as well, so I gave it another chance. So the first time I posted the 9 things I love about Brussels, it had 21,000 impressions. The second time I posted as a carousel, it had 45,000 impressions. Then I turned it into, that was just all with Canva. Then I had AI transform it into an infographic, and now it has 67,000 impressions. It's always the same post. Sometimes I try and change the caption a little bit, but the content of the post is the same. So, and this is all only so that people know she's in Brussels, she's based in Brussels. I can go have coffee with her. She's not someone on the other side of the world, right?
Mhm.
So then and of course it's important that, you know, this post, for example, that you see here on this page was not written towards a specific audience. I'm just explaining to everybody how they can write a viral post, which works, by the way. You can try it.
Mhm.
And but if you want to reach a specific group of people, you need to write for that group of people, not the largest possible audience. So instead of this is how you write a viral post, it could be something like, I help 25 EU associations write better LinkedIn posts, and this is how, you know. So then an EU association will feel addressed with this post. And again, LinkedIn understands that as well. So it might not have the same amount of traction because it's not applicable to everyone, but it reaches the right group of people. And of course, you can also do a little bit of both. Wider posts for reach, for, you know, for, because sometimes it's nice to have a lot of impressions and a lot of followers, and more specific posts so that your own people, as I like to call them, still see your post as well. Sebastian has a question. I can feel it.
No, I was thinking that uh, you also need to show that you understand that community. It's not only name dropping, but
Yeah,
maybe dropping like a particular pain point or challenge that they have. For example,
absolutely.
one of them that I get is that public affairs teams, they are more and more like asked to do more with the same or even with fewer resources, right? And they are incredible teams, right? They are incredible professionals, but one can do so much, and so that's like also telling them how specifically they may feel. If they are also member associations, there are only one place in the world, probably, or in Europe, where member associations gather. That is in Brussels. And if you talk about, how members request more and more from you, and how AI in this context or better communications or different channels can help you address those more internal communication challenges, then they will see themselves in you. So it's not only name dropping, but actually concern dropping, right? That's how.
100%. And that brings me right to my next slide. And that is that you need to talk about your audience's actual pain points. So great. And by the way, I wanted to say thank you to Michael, who empathizes with my slide problem. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. That's really nice. But yes, so absolutely 100%. And that's exactly what you just said. And this is why this is my top performer, not in terms of impression and at 32,000 impressions, but in terms of real life results. Again, this was saved, I think 750 times, and it turned into a lot of requests for AI for communicators workshops. Just because I had an actual pain point. The post said, that I stopped using Claude right when everyone was switching to Claude because I kept running out of tokens. So that's an actual pain point that I experienced and that my audience, my people are experiencing as well. So that's, that's, you talk to your clients, you talk to your people, you talk to the people you want to reach all the time. You know what they're struggling with, just like you just explained. That's the perfect post, and make it explicit.
Yes.
100%. Very good point. Now, and what is very important in general, not even if you want to reach a specific group of people, but in general on LinkedIn, stop the generic advice, because generic advice feels to people like you're a bot, like you're AI, and it gets ignored. So what used to work really well is 5 ways to do this, or 10, this is something that doesn't make people feel like you're adding something specific. So you need to make it something that only you can tell. You can write a nice story about something, but then add at least a couple of lines that only you could have written, that nobody else knows. And that makes a big difference. Add your own DNA, of course, as per my own DNA philosophy. No, I just wanted to see if you wanted to say something. And of course, connected to your audience. So instead of LinkedIn change its algorithm, I keep giving you examples from my perspective, right, what LinkedIn's algorithm change means for Brussels communication teams. Might be something different for people who are watching from Brazil. But, same expertise, but much more specific, and always write in the first person. Michael and Louise have a couple of questions. Let's see if we can address them. Michael says, guessing how algorithms work is all well and good, but before that, you need to have a clear picture of who you are, who your target audience is, what their pain points are, and what value you want to bring them, and your tone of voice, how you're going to talk about their problem. Absolutely. And that is what I capture in DNA keys for my clients, and which I do. This is a very most important thing that I do before anything else, before any LinkedIn work, capturing that DNA, which is everything from tone of voice to values to what makes you different, and all the things you mentioned, Michael. Excellent point. Louise says, the 70% out of my network is much higher from my end. However, I don't know who they are, only clues about seniority, company size, job position. That's my current challenge. Bring those people closer to engage with. Thoughts? Yeah, so that is actually a point that I'd like to make. I was discussing this with one of my clients yesterday. She says, the only people who reply to my posts are people that I know. And I said, that is completely normal, because 95% of people lurk on LinkedIn. They don't visibly engage. They might read your post very attentively. They might even forward it to somebody else. They might save it. And that's what you can see behind the scenes. We cannot see that when looking at your post. But of course, the people who know you in real life, or people who like you, or people you've built an online relationship with, like, people here in this chat, those are the people that are going to be engaging with your post. But that's not a measurement for success in itself, because also 95% of people who want to do business with me never engage with my post. They call me or they book a meeting with me and they said, I've been following you for years. I like and read all your posts. I go to your profile specifically because LinkedIn doesn't show me your posts anymore. But I read all of them. And I said, really? But you've never even liked, I don't say this, but I think you've never even liked one of my posts. And so, don't confuse visible engagement with real life results, right? So, but it is also important to write in a way that people will engage, right? Engaging things.
Yeah, and this is a problem not only on LinkedIn. I think it's a problem across all social media platforms. I was trying to look for one of my presentations that I do on social media use in the College of Europe, and it is very clear that the engagement is down across all social media platforms. And the one with most engagement, which is, if you measure engagement as the number of likes, posts, comments, and some even add that you watch a video for more than 3-5 seconds, it really depends, it's well below 1%. It's well below 1%. So that means that you shouldn't worry about that too much. Another answer for you, Luis, would be, and probably this is a topic for today or another day, which is paid advertising. I think if you really know who they are in terms of seniority, company size, those are specifically attributes that you can target when doing advertising on LinkedIn. I don't know what you think about that, if you use it yourself, Liora.
I never do it. I don't recommend it. I think it's much better to build credibility through organic content. I've never done any advertising, and I get 75% of my clients through LinkedIn, and the rest via recommendations or AI search. So I don't think it's necessary. I do think it's important to be very specific about what you do and whom you're trying to reach. So, for example, here, use the vocabulary your audience uses, right? The specific words. So those words provide context for real people, but also for LinkedIn's recommendation system, so that LinkedIn understands whom to show your posts to. And that's why you also see that I have some posts that are very specific and that might not might not appeal to everyone who's following me, because I have a lot of people follow me from India or from Australia, and they're probably not interested in Sec Gen posts, but it doesn't matter. Like, I have other posts that are interesting for them. I have a there's a question from Michael who says, "Dead spirit, to get noticed in a sea of generated gloss, you have to be rough-edged, alive, imperfect." But that's exactly why they won't like you, because approving something rough means telling your network, "I support this." That's already a risk to your own polished personal brand.
The will to be real.
The will to be real, dead, so they say silent, and you think nobody needs you. Silence and indifference. Yes, but if you are willing to speak out and to be unique, even if you don't, first of all, you probably will get a lot of reaction, but also a lot of people might not visibly engage, but might still contact you behind the scenes, you know? So,
and don't forget your GEO. Don't forget that LinkedIn is actually being used by search engines, by AI tools like ChatGPT to recommend who is the best person on a specific subject in a specific region. So post, and don't worry so much about that engagement on the post.
Yeah. And of course, turn real situations into content. And real situations are usually location-based. So mention that location, mention that context. So a communication director asked me this. This question always comes up during my AI workshops with public affairs teams. And that makes it specific, what you do. And also people understand what it is that you do without you having to turn it into a sales pitch, right? So here you see one of my posts about a workshop that I gave and which of the information people found most helpful.
I love the dogs, by the way, fighting. It's a really nice touch. In a world of LinkedIn of cat lovers, I really appreciated that.
Actually, I have a very sweet cat, but I also like that. So, and of course, so now the only thing is that we know that there are a couple of factors which determine if a post is going to get traction. One of them is saves. The other one is your post forwarded via DMs to other people on LinkedIn. And of course, conversations around your posts are really important. Now we know that your targets are probably not very likely to engage with your post, to comment on your post. So it is also important to kind of trigger that visibility among them. One way is to DM with your targets. So if you DM with someone, and that doesn't mean selling them something, saying, doesn't mean forcing yourself on them, but just having pleasant conversations with people in the DMs will make LinkedIn show those people that you're talking with in the private messages your post. So that is a way that at least you get visible with them. Another thing is comments. If you want comments on your post, it is probably a good idea to also comment on creator posts, because creators are just much more likely to comment on your post, creators in your field. So you do have different target audiences. One is the people you really want to reach, your bubble, and the other is people like you that are interested in your posts, that are more likely to comment and create conversation. So if you do the two things, you are in the best position. And
can I ask you, Liora, if all those tips also apply to organization pages? Because you mostly talk through your individual profile, and you show it works perfectly. Have you seen a difference between individual and organizational page?
I've actually prepared a post which will go out in a few days, that my current theory is that all the activity should be an individual post, employee post. Those should be empowered. It should be in their KPIs. Instead of being something that's frowned upon, LinkedIn activity, the employees should be empowered to post, to be the face, not in terms of what they should post. It should not be a message out. They should be able to post whatever they want. But that is where we're people for people. And then the employee page, or the company pages, is there for two reasons. It's kind of a credibility layer, so that people can go and see this is a real company, things are happening, there's good information. And as you said, for generative engine optimization. So company pages for robots, for large language models, and people for people. makes complete sense, right? People write for people. People prefer reading people pages. There are some examples of pages that do a really good job being really out of the box, but it's really difficult. And there's usually a lot of legal and, people, it has to go through so many layers of approval to make it really exciting is really difficult. So why not make it very context rich, really in-depth information, long articles, and they're not going to get a lot of likes or probably a lot of engagement, because LinkedIn is not showing that page to a lot of people because it wants you to pay. But it doesn't matter, because LLMs will still find it if it's the best answer to a question. And so in the AI visibility dashboards that I have for my clients, we see LinkedIn pop up as the top source. And in many cases, if it's done well, those are company pages, not just individual pages, because individual pages are often fun and they're casual and they're personal, whereas those company pages can give that context-rich, in-depth information that large language models are looking for. So that's how I see the split between the two. A very different strategy, in fact. And then, of course, comments. Position yourself in the comments. You get a lot of, and make sure to actively follow the people that you want to engage with and see what they post about. Be a part of their world. If they post things, then make sure that you become that you start understanding what motivates them, rather than expecting that they will go to your world and engage with you. And as Luis says, that he is very good at commenting on big creators' content, and that that opened a lot of doors for him. I had the same when I commented on Gary V's post with something funny. That gave me, I think in the meantime, 200 followers just from one funny comment. Are those the right people? Probably, because, but are they in Brussels? Maybe not. But, so it really can open a lot of new doors. Are we still interested, or should we move to the next subject? I have a few more slides. Let me know in the comments if you understand this topic and you want to move to Mark's, what are they called, Sebastian, on Claude content, because that's our following our next topic. So that's what we said. Comment on the people accounts your audience follows. I like DG meme. The whole EU bubble is on it. So if you comment something there, it's, especially if you're able to put in some positioning, that can really help you become more famous in the EU bubble, but of course also politicians or journalists, etc. And then actively actively build the network that LinkedIn stopped giving you. So each week, connect with relevant people, train your feed about what you like, what you don't want to see. Don't wait for to find those people, but make sure to actively reach out. And what is very important is I see a lot of people connecting with people or sending DMs even to people trying to sell themselves or trying to find a job, but without ever having looked or engaged with that person on their own profile. If you want something from someone, follow them first, engage with their posts. Louise is very good at this. He's in our chat right now. He builds a relationship first. And he's not going to immediately go and connect or immediately go and ask for something. He build a relationship first so that people feel that they know you before you move to the next step. It's a little bit like dating. Don't ask someone to marry you before they've even met you. That's a little bit how a lot of people, especially salespeople on LinkedIn, behave. Build that relationship first. And then local stories. As audience filters. That also means locations. Place du Luxembourg, Plux. I forget. I've been away for too long.
There's a true school of thoughts for that. Plux.
Belgian quirks or Brussels bubble culture, again. And so I posted how I made it in the Brussels bubble and how you can too. 5 tips after 15 years in this town. Of course, a lot of people want to make it here, if I did. So that was a helpful post to reach, again, my people. Sorry, guys, if it's too many slides. And again, stop optimizing every post for maximum reach, because a broadly relatable post might get 80,000 impressions around the world, but a very specific post might get only 1,000, but then the second can get you considerably more real life impact. I had a post comparing 2 of my posts. One had, I think, 170,000 impressions. But the other one, I think it still got about 30,000 impressions, but that got me, I think, 5 new clients. So, it's not all about the impressions. It's not all about, what people can see on the outside. It's about what brings you the results that you are after. And as per Michael's point, it is important that you define what success looks like before you get started, whom you're trying to reach, what you're trying to do here. It helps define those things before just randomly starting to post and push out information. So measure also who saw the post, not just how many, but as per Louise's point, this is still quite high level information, but at least it tells you something, right?
Absolutely.
Let me see. Yeah. So let me just maybe go to 1 or 2 more slides, and then we go to our next topic. This is important, that you really optimize your profile with your own DNA so that you convert the right visitor. So someone who reads one of your posts and thinks, oh, this is interesting, who then goes to your profile, should immediately understand what it is that you bring to LinkedIn. What kind of content can they expect from you, right? So that means a featured section with all, either a way to reach you if you're independent and you want business out of it, or your top performing post, credibility, an about section that is not a summary of your CV, but what pain points are you solving, or a fun story, a banner with a clear message. It's a wasted space to just have images there, and a headline that follows you around on LinkedIn that really helps you to stand out in the crowd. And use fewer. This might sound a little counterintuitive, because those educational creator formats really help you get saved, and saving is good for the algorithm. But make sure to at least mix how-tos, list, algorithms, and tips with your personal observations, client experiences, opinions, because that is going to make it feel more useful for a specific group of people. And again, you can also mix it so you have that wider audience combined with a specific audience. All right. I feel like I can talk about this forever, but I won't. So I will post this on my profile this weekend with some more explanation, so you can read everything in peace and quiet. But I think it will be fun to go to, if anyone has any questions, let us know. And then let's move to the watermarking subject.
Right. Well, Liora, I think this is, again, like you said, we could cover this content for hours. And probably it's a continuation. We can pick it up from where we left it today, go deeper next week. Remember that we will be back, so any questions that you may have, we're not going anywhere, that I can assure you. But we also want to cover some of the news that will affect you. And and that happened whilst you were having your pina colada on the beach, or hiking in the mountain. And now you come back and you see a lot of people saying this beautiful word called watermarking, and what Claude has done. Claude is really good at making these PR stunts, publishing something that it's really not such a big of an issue, or is not really so noble. But you have to give them credit where credit is due, because they are good at placing specific topics, especially around compliance. I think if they were doing your DNA test, Liora, Claude would be the responsible, compliant AI giant out there. And they came and they announced that starting on August the 2nd, which was the same day in which the first provisions of the EU AI Act came into force, they were gonna, all their models are going to include a watermark, not only in the images, but also in the text. What that means? It means that every time you get an answer from any model supported by Claude, it could be the chat, it could be Cloud Code, it could be even you, Liora, use. Remind me of the name. One tool that allows you to use all the LLMs available. Even when you're using Claude, the text that it gives you is going to incorporate an invisible machine readable marks in the text. And that is something that should worry you. Well, it depends. If you are in the business of the AI slop and just producing vast quantities and vast amount of content, then you should be worried, because now they are going to make it a little bit more difficult. But even if you are generally using AI to do your work, I think you should consider, you should understand this, and why it is important and how it affects you. So every time that we get something, the human eye, we get something out of Claude, the human eye won't be able to appreciate it, but the machine will be able to understand that something has been produced directly by Claude. So they will be able to tell. This also is included in the images, but on the images and videos, we are used to it, because we already, especially when we upload our content on platforms like Instagram, LinkedIn, those platforms already identify that watermark and put it on front of our image, right? AI generated, etc. So this is really not something new. They are taking it seriously, a little bit more seriously, and they are communicating about it, which I think is good. But the idea is, as a very good PR stance should be, it's all about the fast, nothing about the content, because we still don't know what is the technical documentation. We don't know how the detection tools that they're also going to deploy, how they are going to work. We basically don't have any information, right? So it's very hard to tell at this moment, but I would say that it's something that you cannot really escape, because most of the AI providers have already signed the EU Code of Practice, the EU Transparency Code, which means they will deploy these type of measures that are meant to throw more transparency into the whole business of AI. And unless you are a grok user, which is a little bit like the Wild West, like the unruly players right now in the market, you are going to get this one way or another. So it's something we are going to have to live with. I think, I don't know if it's unfortunately, but it's a reality. So let's face it. And how will it affect you? Because here's the problem. Here's where we need more documentation. At the moment, we don't have it. But what we know is that this watermark will be included either when you copy and paste something straight from Claude, right? Or when you have taken your draft that you work on your own, and then you put it on Claude to give you some ideas, to maybe suggest some improvements. If you copy and paste that into the final output, it will carry that watermark, right? So it will confuse both the content fully AI generated with the content that has been modified even slightly, all right? So that is how it's going to affect you in a way. So Um, we don't know if this is going to really work to stop the AI slop, because there are many ways that you can get rid of that watermark. For example, you can go through, put the watermark from something you got from Claude, you put it on another model that still doesn't have the watermark, or you put it into Grok, for example, and then that watermark will go away, or there will be a lot of intelligent tools that will allow you to simply remove the watermark. But it does create another step in the process, right, of publishing AI partially or fully created content, right? So
Yeah,
specifically
but what if you translate something, or what if so that
watermark,
I feel,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it's your own complete text. Does this even work in a multilingual
Yeah, it gets
environment?
watermarked. Again, we don't know a lot about this. If there will be exceptions, I don't see how it can be. They can have exceptions, but yeah, it will have. Even if it is your text and AI has translated it, or it has changed a comma.
Yeah.
In that comma, you will find the watermark.
Because at the moment with images, it's the opposite. If AI has generated it, but you change it, you add things, then it's no longer AI generated. Now with text, it turns out, or it's not even, maybe it's still AI generated, but it's not seen as such on LinkedIn, for example. Whereas with text, it seems like even if you write a whole book, but you ask AI to, I don't know, reorganize or do some headings in a different font. Because we, for example, at the Think Room, we do all our design. We have a template, so we give the document to the AI, and they format the document. Saves us a lot of work. Yeah, it's not an AI generated document. We've written it ourselves, but it will be seen as such, I guess.
Exactly. Because it does include, and also answering Luis' question, which he's also asking, if you create an image using Claude and convert it to PDF, would it be spotted? As long as it is an output, it can be a file, text, image, vector, MD file, whatever it is. What they have announced is that it will have that watermark. Now, there are many ways to go around that. Like you said, if you start, and I've had mixed situations here, because I sometimes have created an image on ChatGPT, I put it on Canva, I modify it. Still, LinkedIn, for example, is able to capture, and they tell me it has been modified, or it has been generated with AI. So the way that I always go is that I opt for displaying if it has been partially, fully made with AI. So I take that approach, but I try to not let, especially if it has been fundamentally created by me, I will try to avoid the native watermark, because in the end, here's the developmental spot. We don't know if the tools like LinkedIn are going to penalize this type of content, and because we don't know, then actually right now you can say the opposite. Like, I think the AI generated content gets on average, it can even get more quoted. It can even get, like you said, it can be an article generated with AI fully will get quoted more times than an article written by a human. And we have seen a lot of research done on that. So it really, we need to see how the tools are going to penalize, or at least manage this. From the time being, LinkedIn already has included this famous button, which it's already part of our feed, which is, I don't know if you can see it here fully, but that button that says, this seems like AI slop, and this is the post from one of the engineers at LinkedIn explaining why they're doing this. So it does look like if your content is spotted natively as AI generated due to this watermark, it may be pushed down by the own algorithm. But again, we don't know. We are still, I think, even LinkedIn says that what is AI slop? No one can really tell. To what degree or to what degree something can be considered AI slop or not. And so that is going to be a balance that the team from LinkedIn is going to have to strike, right?
No, sorry. This is the point. It's not the team. If it's going to be you say this is AI slop. Guess who's going to check if it's AI slop? Not the team, an AI. So people might say, I hate this political opinion. I'm going to identify AI slop, and then a bot is going to decide if it's indeed AI slop. So it's LLM. It's an AI judging our humanity. This is the insanity for years, for now a couple of years. AI has LinkedIn has encouraged us to optimize our posts with AI, make this better with AI. It never got better, tried a couple of times, got a lot worse. Okay, make it better with AI. Then they say this is AI slop. They really don't know what they want. They're trying to be fashionable some way. And then, of course, no human, you think they have the capacity to judge as a person, to have humans judge if it's AI slop? No, it's AI judging this. How are they going to judge it? There is no good way to judge it. You can have double dashes, you can have certain words, but all these things are human. They come from human text. There is no objective way. So it really scares me, that AI slop button, because if a lot of people report something as AI slop just because they disagree with the opinion, it's probably going to be removed, right? And then you have to, then your profile is going to probably be deactivated. I don't know, where is it going to go? Or is it just that specific post? And then you have to tell LinkedIn that you don't agree. Well, we know how fast that process goes. I mean, this is not a good development. Yeah, and like Louise says, we are humans, they are haters. And this is scary stuff. Yeah, and then also, we are in a world of change. This is the biggest change. This is so big. We're all trying to make this work. In the beginning, everyone was playing with it. Oh, I write such smart post, and we realize it doesn't sound so smart. We all sound the same. It's a tsunami of sameness. We're all figuring this out together, okay? And now we get a mark that is going to, I think people are able to judge if a deliverable is good. People are able to judge if a post is good. And we don't need marks. I'm increasingly less enthusiastic about this this AI act that is going to stifle competition. When are we going to invest in Europe in innovation rather than in regulation? I am not excited about this.
Yeah. Doron here is asking something that I want to also answer very quickly, because it's a very smart question, which is watermarks in the past, or the most basic ones, have tended to be a combination of words, structures that put together, reveals that it has been fully generated by AI. And so if that's the case, then there would be ways to break it. That's what I was also trying to explain earlier. There are ways that you can mix it up and then break the watermark. However, the watermark technology has advanced much more in the last few years. And now it's not so much as a set of words, but it's still going to be a hidden, like a statistical footprint, let's put it this way, in the code, and they will probably get better at being or keep revealing that, even if you try to translate, mix it, etc. But we don't know. The thing is, we don't know, because Claude has literally one pager on this massive and this like fundamental change in their language model. But again, at the same time, many other, Gemini already has it, and probably we will see and we will learn more as other AI players release their own. Because again, this is something that they really have to comply. So I would say that is pretty much what I wanted to say. Just be careful. This is coming. AI slop. It's a real issue, but it doesn't affect the people who are following us in this every Friday, because we are actual humans putting thought, putting our DNA into it, as Liora always tells us. And we use these tools to help us be more efficient, not to steal our voice. And hopefully, we will be able to regulate this in a way that if you see bots constantly producing content, and that is definitely AI slow, and there is no listening, there is just posting and posting just for the sake of it, probably those will be the ones penalized. But if you actually make a reasonable and ethical use of this technology, you will still be able to, to occupy this space, which is what we all want. So that's what I wanted to share, Leora. We always say let's keep it short, but hey, it's been a long time since we don't see each other, and so lots of things to catch up on. And nevertheless, very very interesting today's session. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
and I think it's in our DNA to be a bit verbose. We
Oh,
like to talk, right? But guys, if you have an idea of a better format, if you want us to answer specific questions, if anyone is still with us, and if you think next week tackle this or that, let us know. And if you're watching until this point, let us know as well. Someone said hi, but all we see is LinkedIn user. So hi back at you. We'll see it after the show when we can see your name. Anyway, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Hang in there if you're dying from the heat, and drink something nice and cool. And have a fantastic weekend. Thank you all very,
thank
very
you.
much.
Until next week. Ciao.
Bye.